Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Dialogue. I'm Taimur Shamil. Pakistan and China are two big powers in the region, and both big powers have been working on China-Pakistan economic corridor. That is a mega economic activity that would bring peace and stability, not just in Pakistan, but also in the region. China-Pakistan economic corridor, as I said earlier, is a mega economic activity on which both China and Pakistan are working. This is a part of Belt and Road Initiative taken by China. China certainly is a big power, and China has been working on this Belt and Road Initiative in the region. Cpac is one of its projects. Pakistan and China would both ensure the stability of China-Pakistan economic corridor. That would bring, as I said earlier, peace and stability in the region. It is imperative for Pakistan and for people in Pakistan to understand the very nature of China-Pakistan economic corridor, and also about Pakistan and China relations at the same time. Regional alliances are changing. The security situation in the region is also changing. Pakistan has also been facing a lot of challenges in terms of security and economy earlier in the past. China stood by Pakistan in difficult times, and China was there on many occasions for Pakistan at the regional platforms and also at the international platforms. China-Pakistan economic corridor would bring stability and more opportunities for many Pakistanis at the grassroots level. This is a project basically of connectivity and also of improving economy at the grassroots level. There are different routes of China-Pakistan economic corridor, primarily three routes: western, central, and the eastern route. And these routes would benefit people living in the remotest parts of Pakistan, because the idea is that people across Pakistan should benefit from this project irrespective of their region, irrespective of their regional backgrounds. Today is an exclusive interview with Pakistan's ambassador to China, Ambassador Masood Khalid. So, welcome to the program. Talking about Pakistan and China relations, as I said earlier, Pakistan, I would start with this point that Pakistan has been facing a lot of challenges early in the past, economic challenges, security-wise as well. Pakistan has also been under pressure from the international, I would say, countries about its response to terrorist organizations, the way it has been fighting terrorism and extremism. We also heard from China's Foreign Office, that China stands with Pakistan and China appreciates the way Pakistan has been fighting world's most notorious terrorist organizations recently. How do you see China's relations with Pakistan and the way China acknowledges Pakistan's stance and approach towards counterterrorism?
Well, China's relations with Pakistan, it has a long history. They are more than 6 decades old. We celebrated the 65th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations a year ago. So there is a history behind this relationship. At this point in time, I can say that our relationship is firm, strong, and very solid. You mentioned terrorism. What you saw yesterday in the form of a statement by the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs, a supportive statement of Pakistan. This has been China's consistent position. It highly appreciates the sacrifices Pakistan has given and the contribution Pakistan has made in countering terrorism. And this has been China's position, and reiteration of this position yesterday after President Trump's tweet was, I think, not only reflective of the understanding, the goodwill, and the close ties which exist between Pakistan and China, but also a manifestation of the understanding of Pakistan's position on counterterrorism and extremism. And the whole world knows that Pakistan has suffered a lot for many, many years. And we have been in the forefront to fight terrorism. And China, in both its interaction with us at the governmental level and in public domain always supports Pakistan's efforts to combat this menace. And I think the people in Pakistan ought to know that China is supportive and China is behind Pakistan in countering this challenge, this menace of terrorism, which afflicts Pakistan as well as the region.
As you mentioned, terrorism and countering terrorism, the terrorist organizations, they pose threat not just to Pakistan, but also to the regional countries like Afghanistan for that matter, China for that matter. Pakistan and China have also been working on Afghanistan and bringing peace and stability in Afghanistan. And also, the Chinese have also invited officials from Pakistan and Afghanistan to talk about regional peace and stability. China and Pakistan's commitment to peace and their approach towards bringing peace and stability in Afghanistan, how do you see this?
Well, you see, peace and stability of this region is extremely important. Peace and stability in Afghanistan is extremely important for Pakistan. And that is why Pakistan is making these efforts to help promote a process of reconciliation in Afghanistan. And China has been a partner. China is a big regional power. China has borders, land borders with 14 countries, and so many more borders, along the coastline. So it is natural for China to wish and desire peace and stability in its neighborhood, peace and stability in the region. So Pakistan, China, and Afghanistan, as you said, we are working together. And last week there was the first meeting of the first trilateral meeting of the foreign ministers of three countries, where both China and Pakistan conveyed this message very clearly to our Afghan friends, that we both desire peace and stability in Afghanistan, so that our common vision of development and progress of the region could materialize. So I think it was a very clear message which went to Afghans, and this meeting was good. China provided this platform to Pakistan and Afghanistan. You know, there are differences between Pakistan and Afghanistan. There are different perceptions about each other's approach. So I think that platform was helpful in not only bringing Pakistan and Afghanistan to sit on the same table, but also to discuss and exchange views on issues which we jointly face.
And also a big country like China being a part of an issue that has been there for decades, I would say. Afghanistan would also perhaps rely on China in bringing peace and stability over there. China can be obviously a leader in this whole thing.
China is a credible interlocutor. China is an honest broker. And of course, Pakistan and China have, time-tested ties. And these supportive statements from China are also reflective of those close ties. And I think that Afghanistan also trusts China. So I think China is a good mediator, a good player in this game of, promoting and understanding and friendship between Pakistan and Afghanistan. So this is a positive and a constructive approach, which we welcome.
We talked about Pakistan's relations with Afghanistan and China. These were the external things. Now coming on the internal issues, internal projects, I would say, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor is a big economic activity. And Pakistani officials, as well as Chinese officials, they have made these statements very frequently that this project would benefit Pakistan, but also to those countries which would opt for benefiting from China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. There are myths also and realities on this project. Transparency is there, but how important is China-Pakistan Economic Corridor to Pakistan and most importantly to China? And what is China's approach towards China-Pakistan economic corridor?
I will not talk about the myths.
Right.
I will talk of the reality and the realities. Let's see, let's evaluate China-Pakistan economic corridor. It was in 2013, May, that Chinese Premier Li Keqiang came here and he discussed the idea of Cpac or this corridor with the government of Pakistan. And then in July 2013, a prime ministerial visit takes place from Pakistan 2 months after May 2013, May in 2013. And we signed this agreement. So once that agreement was signed, or MOU was signed to launch this project, then we had to strategize as to what do we mean by this corridor. Is this a road? Is this a route? So it needed very clear definition. So both sides decided that we will establish an apex body, a higher level forum to steer the process. So a joint cooperation committee or JCC was established. This joint cooperation committee is headed by the Minister for Planning from our side and the National Development and Reform Commission from the Chinese side, which is the counterpart of Planning Ministry. So this body was created, JCC, and under JCC, 4 working groups were established. One was on energy, the other was on transportation and infrastructure, third one was on Gwadar, and the fourth one was on industrial parks and special economic zones. And of course, later on we added a working group on long-term plan and a working group on security. So the idea was that the projects which are mutually agreed and mutually identified will be steered by this JCC, will be supervised, monitored and overseen by this JCC. And these working groups were constituted, which comprised senior officials of the level of federal secretaries in the government of Pakistan and their counterpart officials from relevant ministries in China, and the experts and professionals. So for example, there is a cluster of energy, working group on energy. Pakistan was facing a serious shortfall of power, right? Three years ago. So the government of Pakistan decided that the energy sector should receive the priority. So we requested the Chinese government, and Chinese government was forthcoming, and they said, okay, this is your problem, this is your immediate problem, we'll help you. And then we got into the details of what is to be done. We identified a number of projects in all the provinces, coal-based projects, solar, renewable energy.
Right.
Yeah. And then the experts started working on their technical viability as well as financial viability. And once, after thorough deliberations, a consensus was reached, for example, on a project A, then that project A was approved by JCC. So the first JCC was held in August 2013.
And just one question. And the proposals were sent by the Pakistani government, the provincial governments, proposals regarding the power plants and everything, obviously.
You see, the proposals are of course submitted by the federal government with the input of the provincial governments. So all these working groups have the representatives from the provinces. For example, if there is a power project in Sindh, so the Secretary Power or whosoever representing the Ministry of Power or Power Department in Government of Sindh would be part of that JCC, would be part of that working group. So all the provinces were and have been duly represented in the JCC and the working groups. So what I was trying to explain to you the process. Once two sides agreed on a number of projects, depending on their types, then their financial viability was worked out. And after that, the implementation phase. So you look at the situation now, 3 years hence from 2013, and the work did not start in 2013. In actuality, the work would start, I would say, late 2014, early 15, and we have just finished, ended 2017. So in a matter of 2.5 years, less than 3 years, we have been able, the government has been able to at least overcome, address the main issue of power, and the situation is much better. And these projects, Sahiwal project, for example, it was completed before time, 1320 megawatt. It's a big project. And then we are working on this Tharp coal power project, Bin Qasim, 2 units, and several other projects in the energy cluster. So I think the progress has been quite satisfactory.
Progress has been significant, and so has been the change, I would say. The difference is there. There was a point when in many areas of Pakistan, and Islamabad for that matter, load shedding, as we call it, energy shortage, was for like 10 hours and 12 hours, and we can see the difference now that has been controlled. We have been talking about different projects in Pakistan. Cpac is focusing separately on different projects in different areas in Balochistan, in Sindh, KPK, Punjab, Gilgit-Baltistan. How do you see the transparency of the projects, and also the way they have been executed at the grassroots level, starting from GB to other places and other provinces?
Let me first of all share my observation with you. You know, I'm based in Beijing, so I come here on and off in connection with official work. And this time I was really pleasantly surprised that we have so much of power now, so much of electricity, that we are celebrating, mashallah, there was Eid Milad-un-Nabi, then later on some festivity in connection with the New Year. So the streets were lit and the shops were bustling, and there was plenty of light compared to, say, 1 or 2 years ago, when the electricity would go off after every 2 hours or so in cities. And of course rural areas were also suffering. So I think it's a marked change, it's a significant change, which I'm sure is appreciated. And this would not have been possible without the Chinese help and assistance. This is a fact. So I am talking of realities. Now you said about the manner in which these projects are being implemented. I talked about the energy cluster.
Right.
Now I would like to talk about the infrastructure cluster.
In different provinces, right?
In different provinces. All the provinces will benefit. And if I may share with you some figures which are important. If you go province-wise breakdown of Cpac projects, there are roughly, if we exclude the projects which are yet to be launched, for example, Karachi Circular Railway or the Special Economic Zones, but in the Cpac list, as far as Sindh is concerned, there are about 16 projects. Balochistan, including Gwadar, has about 20 projects. Punjab has about 10 or 11 projects. KP has 9 projects. Now this list could be slightly, varying in the sense depending on how we interpret, but this is broadly the picture which I am sharing with you. And then of course there are projects in Azad Kashmir, Gilgit, and Fatah also.
But these are the main projects.
These are the main projects. And all the regions of Pakistan, because this includes remote areas like Gilgit-Baltistan also, AJK also, Fatah also, all these regions and all the provinces will benefit, provided there is a smooth implementation of Cpac, provided projects are completed on time, provided both sides, keep up the speed Rather, I would say that they accelerate, they increase the speed. And I'm confident because I've been seeing the evolution of Cpac for the last 4 years. And we have picked up momentum. We have picked up speed. Obviously, it was a big project. It was not just one project which was to be launched. It was a series, number of projects which were to be launched. So for both sides, it was a challenge in the beginning. It is a mega project. The people who work, the official machinery, the ministries, the departments, they have to organize themselves to meet this big challenge. So I think now things are much better on both sides. We have also improved our systems. We have also streamlined our procedures, but I'm not saying that there is no room for improvement. Yes, we should continue to make these improvements and try to meet the targets, try to meet the timelines, because that's very important. That is how the people at large will benefit from this project. Now, as far as transparency is concerned, I don't think that there is anything hidden as such. These projects have been discussed in a threadbare manner. And let me assure you that our Chinese friends are very thorough, very professional, and each and every project has been discussed professionally, technically, in great detail. So, and as I said, all the working groups have due representation of the provinces. Everything is known to our provinces, our ministries. So there is, nothing hidden as such per se, as is made out.
Few points about China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. When let's say, a lot of people in Pakistan discuss about Cpac, I would really like to know, and I would like to put this question to you, that the future of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, that at times when people discuss about Cpac, they're of the view, candidly speaking, that if, let's say, we are not going the way we are going at the moment, perhaps Cpac would slow down, or maybe there would be some threats to China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, or we are not, at the moment, we are not sure about China's commitment to China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. As far as I remember discussing with you, you mentioned that the importance of Cpac in China's constitution, in their books. What is the importance of Cpac and their commitment towards Cpac?
As far as commitment is concerned, we should have no doubts about that. China has come forward to invest in Pakistan when nobody was willing to come in. You know more than I do the challenges we faced 4 years ago, the security challenges, credibility challenges. Yet, as a true friend, China came forward when we presented our case, when we told them that, look, these are the challenges. This is the power shortage which Pakistan faces. Industry cannot work. Our people are suffering. There will be no economic activity if we don't have electricity. So China came forward. Chinese companies came forward, and these are state-owned companies which came forward to help. They mobilized their own resources. Similarly, in the infrastructure, we picked up few important and major projects like KKH Phase 2, which links China and Pakistan through this road link. We picked up this section, Multan-Sakkar section of the motorway, which is about 392 kilometers. And then, of course, some other projects. So, by and large, in a nutshell, I would say that China was forthcoming. There was no lack of commitment, and there is no lack of commitment. As you yourself said, BRI, Belt and Road Initiative, of which Cpac is the pilot project. Cpac is the pioneer project of Belt and Road Initiative of President Xi Jinping.
One of the bilateral. and one of
I'll
Sure,
explain.
right.
Cpac is viewed and projected as the flagship project of Belt and Road Initiative launched by President Xi Jinping. So what I'm saying is that now that it is part of Constitution of the Communist Party of China, it is kind of commitment at the highest level in China to implement Belt and Road, and by implication Cpac, because Cpac is considered the flagship, the pioneer project of BRI. Now, China is working on 6 corridors, okay, connecting with Eurasia, connecting with Central Asia, connecting with Southeast Asia, and then there is this Bangladesh, China, India, Myanmar corridor. But those are multilateral corridors involving more than one state. China-Pakistan Economic Corridor is the only bilateral corridor. That is important. And Chinese leadership and Chinese government has given not once, on many occasions, they have assured their commitment and to implement these projects. Now there are speculations, of course. You cannot, sort of curb all the speculations, but I think there is a need to understand that as far as commitment is concerned, this commitment is on both sides. Leadership of China as well as leadership of Pakistan are fully committed to implement this mega project. Number 2, that as I said, if you see the evolution of Cpac, then you would come to the conclusion that it has made good progress in the last 3 years, and we have picked up speed. So important thing, as I said, is to improve on this speed, accelerate the process, and because more and more projects will come in. All the projects on the list have not yet started. We have to work on these projects in coming years.
And this is a long-term plan?
This is a long-term. This is a short-term, mid-term, and long-term plan to implement Cpac. So what I'm saying is some projects are early harvest projects like energy projects. They have to be completed in the first phase or the second phase. And then transport, Gwadar Port, its allied infrastructure. Priority-wise.
Looking at
so we will go on. Now, as far as slowdown is concerned, if both governments are committed, then I think there is no room for speculation that it will slow down. Why should it slow down? Because it is in the interest of both countries, and it is in the interest of region. China will also gain, Pakistan will also gain. It is a win-win kind of proposition
for
both sides.
For other countries, right?
You imagine, even at this point in time, when we have these projects in Pakistan which are moving on, these projects have provided employment and jobs to Pakistani people. These Chinese companies have employed, of course, along with their managers and supervisors and technical people, they have employed our people in significant numbers. So these projects are creating jobs. And as we move along this path, as we move on, more projects will come in, and more jobs will be created. So this will lead to better GDP growth. Our investment profile will improve. Our international profile will improve. So that
social sector for that.
Social,
that
yeah, absolutely.
You just mentioned about the Chinese who would be working on these projects. Obviously, these projects are under China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. Chinese companies have been investing inside Pakistan. Chinese would be coming inside Pakistan. But some people, there are a few factions who question about the Chinese involvement, individuals coming to Pakistan, working in different areas, in different sectors, or let's put it openly that more Chinese would be working in Pakistan and perhaps less Pakistanis would be getting the opportunities. What is your stance on this? On different projects?
This is again not based on facts, because if you make a study of the ongoing Chinese projects, on ongoing Cpac projects sponsored by Chinese companies, you will immediately know that more Pakistanis are employed than Chinese. This is number one.
And I've seen that personally, because I've been traveling on KKH and I've been meeting these Chinese people, and there are many Pakistanis, most of them Pakistanis, with obviously few supervisors, Chinese supervisors.
Obviously, and this is the universal pattern. Wherever Chinese companies go, they feel more comfortable with their own managers, and of course we have to build on our skills also. You know, there is a deficit of technicians in Pakistan, skilled people in Pakistan, and through training and through working together with the Chinese companies, our people will look at the human resource development which will occur in the process. And other than the formal training programs, this involvement of Pakistani workers, with Chinese managers, with Chinese technicians, you are improving your human resource capability.
Exposing yourself.
Yeah, you're exposing yourself to new techniques, new expertise. So the second part of your question, that more Chinese, I think we are very good hosts, and Chinese are our friends. And I think we should be, we should welcome them with open arms, rather than, raising issues which are frivolous. I think this is not our tradition, this is not our culture, to be inhospitable to any guest. And Chinese are our guest. Chinese are working here. They are bringing in their money. Of course, they leave their own home and come to a foreign land to work here, sometimes under very difficult circumstances, in terms of climate, in terms of weather, in terms of culture, in terms of traditions. So we need to appreciate this, and I know that we are very warm-hearted and hospitable people. So I think this kind of a speculation or doubts is not helpful. And I think more and more Chinese will come. Of course, they will come in and they will work on projects which I just mentioned. More projects will come up, and we need to provide them a very secure environment, and that is our endeavor. That is the effort which Government of Pakistan has made. But you would know that we have established this special security division of the armed forces, which is providing security to Chinese personnel and Chinese projects and assets, because without a secure environment, who will work? Whether it's a Chinese or any.
And the way we have controlled the security in the region is also commendable, the way Pakistani armed forces have been working on it. Talking about social sector development, the point that you raised is very, very important, I would say. And in that social sector development, people-to-people interaction, I would say, is the most important thing. We are working on China-Pakistan Economic Corridor with our Chinese friends. We will be working in the future, definitely, with the Chinese. Knowing each other is very important. Many young people, students have been to China. They are studying in China. What is the importance of people-to-people interaction, and are you satisfied with the way things are going at the moment?
Well, if I say that I'm satisfied, that means I don't want to work. I'm not satisfied in that sense. I want more interaction. The buzzword of the catchphrase of this BRI initiative is connectivity. Physical connectivity, connectivity through roads, rail tracks, air connectivity, physical connectivity as well as connectivity between the people. Communications, interaction, and cultural contexts. So people-to-people contexts are extremely important, and we are working on it. In fact, don't consider it as an exaggeration when I say that in parallel we are also working on a cultural and educational corridor with China. And these two prongs are also picking up steam. We have about 22,000 Pakistani students in China. 22,000 Pakistanis. It's a large pool. And nearly 3,000 of them are doing their PhDs and postdoctorals.
Yeah.
They are there, they are learning the language also, they are learning culture also, and of course their own specialized fields. So they will be the ambassadors of Pakistan-China friendship in future. We have also worked to enhance the understanding of our own culture in China. So with the help of Chinese universities, we have established about 9 Urdu language departments in various universities of China. And about an equal number of research centers which are working on Pakistan and South Asia in different universities in China. This was not the case 3 years ago or 2 years ago. So the number has increased, which is very good. We are also encouraging interaction between the media, between educationists, scholars, intellectuals, think tanks, because this is very important. This is a track 2 kind of approach. Recently, there was a 100-member youth delegation from Pakistan which went to China. So this year, to 2018, we expect a similar sized delegation from China. So we are trying to encourage and promote this kind of interaction so that people learn each other's language, people learn each other's culture, because that is how you are going to understand each other better.
Right. Mr. Masood, Khalid, pleasure having you on the program. It was, I think, a very insightful discussion on China-Pakistan relations. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Today we discussed about China-Pakistan relations, and this was a very in-depth, I would say, analysis and talk on, and most authentic talk on China-Pakistan economic corridor, also on Pakistan-China relations. Ambassador Masood Khalid focused on the China-Pakistan economic corridor and also on the importance of how the people-to-people interaction can improve the relations between both countries. They're already, I would say, perfect, but as they say, there's always room for improvement. Knowing about each other's ethics, approach towards different projects, approach towards prosperity and development is also very imperative. Thank you for watching today's program. See you next time. Khuda Hafiz.